What's going on, Bills Mafia? I'm Fernando Schmude, that's your leading the charge. And today, a very special episode. Finally back with the Rumblings Network, right? Thank you, Sarah Larson, for putting us all together again. And the first episode that people can finally see, Danyel Renee, live on camera. Thank you so much for joining me, Daniel, today. Really appreciate.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, a long time since we've been interacting Twitter and following the Bills and discussing and talking trash to your Colts fan brother, right? But
Yep,
finally we can join in the show and talk some Bills together. I really appreciate you taking your time to join me today.
I'm excited. Like I told you earlier, I'm in my brother's room. He has better internet than I do at my house. So everything is Colts. I kind of had to hide a lot of things around the room because it's all Indianapolis Colts. But I am sitting in a Colts chair. I'm just kind
Oh
of
my God.
blocking out the
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Hide it, please.
hide
Keep it
it.
hidden. All good, all good. And he's probably pretty excited about the Colts as well, right? It seems they finally invested in a franchise quarterback.
He's
And
hoping. Yeah,
yeah, how
absolutely.
excited is he with this Colts new interaction of the Colts team?
He's very excited about that
Yeah.
because, like, he came to the team when Peyton Manning was on the team. So he came when
Yeah.
they were always good, and then they had Andrew Luck, and then the whole horrible thing happened with
Kind of
Andrew Luck.
spoiled, right?
Spoiled. Well, he's also the youngest, so he's always been
Yeah.
spoiled. But yeah. So he's been spoiled with quarterbacks, and then after Luck, it was kind of a rough patch with just throwing together some quarterbacks there trying to see what'll stick. But now
Yeah.
with Richardson, finally, hopefully I actually hope they're competitive because it's fun to watch the Bills when they play the Colts, especially in the playoffs, like,
Yeah.
that they did in the
Yeah.
past. Get that rivalry going.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's always better to beat the good teams, the great quarterbacks, right?
I agree.
So it's always nice to see, and the AFC in general is getting better. All the
Hmm.
young quarterbacks in this side of the in this conference, right? So we can agree that this AFC is stacked with a lot of great teams, young quarterbacks, and Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen and even Joe Burrow. I put Joe Burrow behind a little bit because of the recent injuries, but
Correct.
those
Yeah.
guys have some challengers for them now, right? With all
Yeah.
those young pieces, and it's fun. It's always fun to have those competitions going, right?
Absolutely. I love the competition.
Yeah,
Just shows
I'm
what team is the best then.
absolutely, yeah. And the Colts almost got the were able to knock us out in a game with Philip Rivers, right? When
Oh
they
yeah.
had a try for a Hail Mary,
Hmm.
and thankfully we could get past them back in that year, right?
I remember
But
that.
yeah, today I'm wearing my FC Bayern jacket, right? Because I'm like extremely mad with the way Germany was robbed yesterday in the Euros, right? Soccer
Oh.
people knows what I'm talking about, but so I had to have it mentioned in this episode today. If Anthony Prohaska is watching, a shout out to Anthony. He was here last week, and if you didn't follow that episode, check it out. Despite this being the first episode back in the network, I've been running the leading the charge in my own Fernando Schmude channel in the YouTube. So subscribe there, like those videos, help me out with the content. I really appreciate it. But let's talk some Bills, right, Daniel? And today we have
I'm ready.
some bold predictions. I don't know how bold my predictions are. It depends very much on how positive you are towards this version of the Buffalo Bills, and Daniel will bring her predictions as well. So let's share this with Bills Mafia, and feel free as well if you are with us here live on YouTube now. You can interact via chat. Matt is here, great guy. Here's for the spice content. So
Hi,
if you
Matt.
are like Matt, bring on your bold predictions as well. It's always fun to come back after the season ends and see what we could predict correctly and where we missed it badly. So today is the day to throw the darts, okay, Daniel?
Well,
So
I'm ready.
yeah, ladies first, please bring me on your first bold prediction for this 2024 Buffalo Bills.
My first prediction. Okay. Well, like you said, I'm not sure mine are so bold, but they're my predictions. So I
All
think
right,
the first one would have to be I truly think that Von Miller is going to make a comeback.
awesome.
Um, I know that he dealt with was it the ACL injury
Yeah.
in 2022, and then last year he just wasn't quite himself. But he recently said that he shouldn't have even been playing last year,
Hmm.
and I believe
Hmm.
him. And I've seen the videos of him working out, and just there's something different in his face when I see these videos. Like, I'm afraid. Like, I wouldn't want to be on the other side against him because he looks like he has a chip on his shoulder. He's out to prove something, and he's healthy. So I think we might see the return of the old Vaughn, at least for another season.
Hmm.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
I
I don't know.
yeah, I totally agree with this prediction, and I'm extremely hopeful with Von Miller for this year. Um, it's not about being a homer. People at Buffalo Rumblings, they are like reading my articles and they are kind of calling me a homer, but being honest, I've been pretty down or negative towards this team several times. There
Hmm.
has been several situations I never bought in. For example, back in the day when people were like, "Oh, Fitz is the answer," I never bought in. Right?
Right.
Love the guy
Love him.
and everything, but those Fitz tragic moments, I couldn't get past them. Like
Yes.
game-winning drive, Fitzception, and game over so
Right.
many times. So I couldn't buy in. And there are other situations that I've been pretty negative, but with one, I'm pretty confident that he can come back at a great level this year. First of all, it's hard to have a worse year than last year for him, right? So he's starting from the bottom.
That's
It
true.
helps. It helps a lot, right? He didn't
Hmm.
produce much last season. We could see some flashes later on, but just a little for a guy at the level of Von Miller. And let's be honest, that's a guy that he can't I don't know if this word even exists in English, okay, but in Portuguese it would be like unlearn. Like he can't unlearn what he already learned from football, right? And we know this guy is a
Right.
technician. We know that you just check his camps, right? He put up camps where all the main pass rushers from the entire NFL and collegiate level to join him to learn and to practice and to exchange some experiences. So this guy is a technician. He's a
Hmm.
perfectionist, right? And we can see this year he's preparing himself to have a great year. He has a chip on his shoulder. He want to prove everybody that he can still be productive. So he's not thinking, oh, I need to recover my knee, or oh, will my knee hold up? No, he's not thinking about it anymore. Now he's thinking about getting back in form, on his best form possible. So I really believe he can still be the same guy or near enough to the level that he was when he joined the Bills, and that was pretty good. He was on pace for a 10 sack season that
Right.
year,
Right. He
right?
did have a
So
good year. Yep.
yeah, so I expect him to be back on that level. I expect the Bills to be careful with him, right? McDermott already confirmed that he has Epeneza and Rousseau as the starters, so he
Hmm.
can rotate Von Miller in. He can use him more on passing downs. He can save him for late in the games and in clear passing downs. So I really believe Von can have an impact season, and I'm really hopeful on that.
I think
So
you're right. And I think the point that you made too, that's important, is that he can focus on football now. Not the injuries, not the
mhm,
outside noise, not people calling him a bust, like whatever, that they were
yeah,
calling him. He can simply just focus on playing football, and that's when he's at his best. So how many sacks do you think he's gonna have this year?
I'm betting on at least 10 sacks this year. I'm
At least
I'm
10.
betting high on him. Yeah, a 10 plus sack season
I'm
for
thinking like
Von this year.
12. Like, I'm
Yeah,
really, really high up on him this year. Yeah.
yeah.
I think
We're
he's going to be
talking
an
about a Hall
integral
of
part of.
Famer, right?
Right. And I
If
think he's going
he's
to have that kind of season. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. And just remembering, as a Chicago Bulls fan, I remember when Derrick Rose had his unfortunate injury, right? I don't like even to talk about it because I was ready to cut my knee off, pack it in, and send it to Chicago
And give
for
it to him.
Derrick Rose, right? I was ready to retire early from my soccer career to help Derrick to get back on track, but unfortunately, it wasn't possible. But I remember after his first injury, and everybody in Chicago was like, "Okay, Derek is cleared to play. The medicals clear, and the doctors cleared Derek to play." And he was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready."
Right.
And back in the day, he had a lot of trouble with the fan base, even because people wanted him back in the court, and he was out there before games practicing but never playing, and he couldn't feel right to play, right? And
Yep.
he knew all the responsibility that he carried. Like when he was back in the court, people would want to see the old Derrick Rose back in the court. So he refused to play until he felt prepared, right? And
Right.
even with Trey, we could see Trey taking a long time also to get back on the field. And with Vaughn, we didn't see that. In fact, he wanted to play even earlier, right? He wanted to
Mm-hmm.
play week 1, and Bean was like, no, stay on the pup list and wait for week 4.
Right.
So he wanted to contribute, and we gotta give props to him for that because he didn't need to do that. That's a Hall of Famer guy. That's a proven guy. He could simply wait for the best moment, not take the risk that he took, and now everybody doubts him, right? So
Right. Yep.
I feel like it's a possibility. Matt is going with 8 sacks for him, right? And if he stays healthy, concerned with his ability to play a ton of snaps, and totally fair. After all, his age is
Yeah.
a factor, right? Nobody
What is
there
he,
is
like
that.
35, 34,
Yeah,
35,
I
I
think he's
think.
36 already
36 now.
during
I'm
during the
39,
season.
so like
Yeah,
I have problems getting
yeah,
up and down the steps anymore, so I couldn't
yeah,
imagine playing football
I'm
that
40,
age.
but to be honest, I can't jump or run fast anymore, or I will have some trouble with my muscles, my calf,
Right.
and my hamstrings. So, but Vaughn is a different kind of guy. He's a beast physically, right? So
Yes.
I really believe he can still be efficient and effective
And he's
and
been
help.
training with some specialists and everything. Like he's really been putting in the work this
Yeah,
offseason. So I'm
absolutely.
hopeful.
Okay, so nice first bold prediction. Let me try my first one. I don't know how
Mhm.
bold you will consider those, but uh, I feel like they are kind of bold. The first one is Kair Elan. I really believe Kair Elan will finish the season as a starter. I don't know at the expense of who, I don't know if I really love Christian Benford. I think he's underrated, and I think he can even have a better season this year and establish himself as cornerback 1 more in this conversation. But I don't know if he will again struggle to stay healthy all season long, or if it can be via Russell Douglas. But I really believe that Kair Elan is ready to make a jump, to finally be prepared when he has an opportunity to be prepared to run with it and to become a starting cornerback for the Bills. Changes in the secondary, changes with the coaching staff, right? It's a new opportunity for him. Watching film, I could really see, like against the Chiefs, the Bills tried, especially when they had the open field, like not in the red zone defensively, but when they were defending early on drives, they tried to play a lot of man coverage. It seems like it's the best way to beat Kansas City. We could see San Francisco doing the same in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And here is a guy that has the best tools to work in this situation with his speed, his length, his experience playing press. So I feel like he can finally make the most of his opportunity and become a starting cornerback level for the Bills. And with the investment done on him and with his tools to play this kind of defensive football that the Bills haven't played a lot recently, I feel like at the end of the year we'll see like, okay, Kair, uh, made the most of his opportunity, and he's gonna be a cornerback 1 or 2 for us going forward.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. And I'm thinking here in my head, just another bold prediction from you.
Oh,
By the end of the season, who do you think is cornerback 1 and 2? So you think Kyer Elam would be one of them. Who do you think is opposite him?
I believe Christian Benford,
Christian Ben.
because of Rasul's age, contract
Right.
situation. Like I can see Rasul having a great season again, but the Bills will need to make a decision on him, right? And maybe the Bills simply will be like, okay, Kair is younger. Maybe we'll be able to negotiate a better deal with Kair since it's been his first year proving himself as a starter caliber. He gotta prove himself for longer. Maybe we can uh, get a good deal, right, with him.
Mhm.
And Rasul obviously will want to get paid. He's at the wrong side of the 30s. He won't settle for especially if he has the number of interceptions that he's had for the Bills since joining the team. So I feel like Kyrie will play at a good enough level for the Bills to so they can decide to let's go forward with the two younger guys with Benford and Kyrie going forward.
And Razul would be nice to just sub in and out when needed and, kind of keep him not only healthy, but keep him fresh to make
Mhm.
those plays that he's, accustomed to making. So it
Mhm.
would be kind of nice to have the two younger guys with Razul kind of subbing in and out. That would be a really ideal situation.
Yeah, and the good things with Rasul is that he has some experience playing inside as well, like
Mhm.
as a nickel corner. So we know that Taron Johnson is always like taking on blocks, tackling a lot in the box, playing like kind of linebacker role, and it's hard for Taron to stay healthy all season long without
Mhm.
losing a game or two or being banged up here and there, right? So having Rasul as a piece that you can move around, playing different situations. Uh, I feel like it would be nice for this Bills team as well. But I don't see like Kair going week 1 as the starting cornerback. But by the season's end, I think like the Bills will make this decision like, okay, Kair proved himself that he can be trusted as a starter for next season, for example, and then we'll have go move on with Benford and Elon as our top two guys outside.
I can see that. And the Bills have been known to be pretty good at developing people. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes it might take a few years, but that's just, I think, on the person. So
Yeah,
I can really see him stepping up, like you said, by the end of the season. And I think it's bold because I think a lot of people, think that he's a bust and he's just,
yeah.
he's only shown flash. But I think that's a really good prediction. I think that's a
Well,
solid
let's
one.
be honest. He can be even be traded during preseason if he doesn't continue to like he's practicing well and making some plays in practice. He did in the mini camps, right? And next stage is training camp, and then preseason. He gotta continue in trending in the right direction.
Right.
But it wouldn't be a big surprise if by the end of preseason they decide to trade him for whatever they can get or some draft picks or a draft pick and maybe sign a veteran to be this backup cornerback that's his role right now, right? He's cornerback 3,
Right.
outside cornerback 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but if he stays with the team, I have some confidence that he can be this guy and he can achieve this goal for as a cornerback for the Bills.
That's a solid, that's a bold prediction, but I think it's also solid and has a good chance of becoming true.
Awesome. Bills Mafia, hit that like button, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel. Also, this show will be live, will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your favorite podcast platforms. This show will be there as well. Subscribe, rate it, please. Sarah Larson has done an awesome job getting the band together again in the Rumblings network. So please support us, help us to keep grinding and creating content for Bills Mafia. If you are not aware, I also create content in Portuguese for Brazilian Bills Mafia, right? Every Sunday. And we need your support. You really need your support. Bills Mafia is growing in Brazil. The last research done here had Bills Mafia as the ninth biggest fan base in Brazil in the NFL. It's huge, Daniel,
That's pretty
because
big. Yeah.
yeah, we've been one of the smallest fan bases before this great stretch winning the division. We always had a lot of Patriots fans here. Now, obviously, Kansas City, Denver Broncos fans, Green Bay Packers fans, right? People are very excited for the NFL game here in Brazil. The Philadelphia Eagles are
Oh, I
coming here
bet.
to play the Packers, and but the Bills Mafia is growing. So help us to keep growing in Brazil as well. Support my channel, subscribe it to my channel, and rate the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate it. Daniel, next bold prediction, please.
The next bold prediction. So he happens to be my favorite player, for multiple reasons. We're going to talk about Micah Hyde.
Okay.
So first, my mom was a huge Packers fan. And so when Micah Hyde came to the Bills, she was excited because she always loved Micah Hyde when he was with Green Bay. And so I always heard her, talking about him, and just she loved him. And then I fell in love with him when he came to the Bills because of his work ethic and his attitude and his leadership and all of that. My bold prediction is that he is going to come back for one more year. And I didn't think that several months ago. I really thought like he was just going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if the doctors clear him and he can play, he will play for the Bills one more year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even quite sure why, but it's, he has that charity event that he does every year for Buffalo, and he's really close with the players. I know him and Josh Allen are very close, and I believe like even like Micah Hyde's wife, like they're all just like very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think like, I don't know. I can't imagine if he could play, I can't imagine him not wanting to try one more year, even though he had neck injuries. And I know that there was like, some serious injuries there, but I think he's coming back. I really do.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I still, it's weird because by now, if he wanted, or he obviously doesn't want to retire, but by now he would already said, right, that okay, I'm retiring, I'm done, and we would know by now. And the fact that he hasn't said it and he continues to keep this door open, it's obviously give us some hope, right, with him coming back. And
Right.
I don't know how much he will be able to play, like, but I actually mentioned on one of the previous episodes about some roles that people kind of underestimate. Like, for example, last season we had Josh Norman on the practice squad, and a lot of people isn't even aware Josh Norman was still around, right? And I remember some plays during games that he was. I remember the I think it was Hardy's return against the Dolphins, and when Hardy broke free and was running to the end zone, and Josh Norman was running alongside him in the sidelines,
I remember that.
and he didn't play. Norman didn't play for us. He wasn't even on active roster, but he had a role, kind of a coach on the field, a coach on the practice field. This is a guy that has been with McDermott since his Panthers years. He knows the defense inside and out. He knows perfectly what McDermott wants from his cornerback, and he was able in the past to execute it in the highest level. He was an all-pro. He was at a point in his career considered the best cornerback in the league, right? So he played in McDermott's schemes at the highest possible level. So having a guy like this with your Christian Bamfords, Kyle Elans of the world, right? It's huge, right? It's huge in the film room, during the practice, everything. It's extremely important.
Yeah. The
And
leadership and the experience, it's
yeah,
just, that's immense.
absolutely. Micah Hyde would be able to offer this kind of thing for the safety position, a safety group where we don't know for sure. We don't know who are going to be the starters now, right? We have some hope for Bishop, but we have Rep as a guy it's crazy to think about, but the longest tenured guy in this safety group, like uh, for the starters, right? Because we have Hamlin, we have Ken Lewis, but those guys aren't. They are running like they are underdogs for fighting for a starting
Mhm.
spot, right? But in the top three competition with Edwards, Bishop, and Rep, Rep is the longest tenured guy. So and then Edwards coming from another team. We don't know for sure. Best
Right.
case scenario, we have a solid group. We have Bishop playing extremely well with all his athleticism and youth. But in the worst case scenario, maybe neither of them can really play at a good level. And it would be nice to have Micah Hyde ready to step up maybe later on the year, maybe for the
Hmm.
playoffs. I don't know. But around all year long to help those guys to play at a good level. And then
Right.
when the time is right, like later on for a run, for a playoff run, having Micah Hyde being able to step in and make some plays and play some center field in clear passing downs where maybe you don't risk him so much tackling and he can simply ball hawk around and make some plays. It would be awesome for the Bills. Do you have any hope he can like be a full-time player and play entire season, or you see more him in this kind of role, Daniel?
I see him more in that kind of role, kind of keeping him healthy. But the thing with Micah Hyde is, and you know, all of Bill's Mafia pretty much knows it. He has that ability to just make that one play that could completely turn the game around. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's so important because not every player can do that. They might be solid, but they don't have game changing plays. Micah Hyde is a game changer. And I
Yeah,
think that could be what we use him for. His leadership, his experience, talking to the young guys, showing them where they need to be, what they need to do, and then also coming in when needed to make a game changing kind of play.
yeah,
Absolutely.
let's be honest. We don't have even our returners set right now. Maybe
Hmm.
you are in a playoff game and all you need is not muff a punt. And we know who's the guy that McDermott has used in
Yep.
this situation, and he needs ball security in his returns, right? So,
Yep.
so if Micah Hyde can be, obviously he won't be active just for that, but if he can be active down the stretch to be this piece that will enter the game in specific situations and help the team with communication, trying to play that center field role, ball hawk a little bit, and even be available to guarantee a safer punt return, for example. Who knows? I think it's valid, and he might stay on the practice squad and be
Right.
elevated when he feels prepared or when the team and the coaching staff feels it would be positive, right? So yeah, I can see that absolutely. I don't know. For some reason, I think he will retire for some reason, but it makes sense. He's still keeping the door open, so
Right.
it's definitely a possibility. Matt kind of agrees. If Hyde hasn't announced his retirement by the playoffs, then Bills make the playoffs, they will sign him. Yeah, I believe so.
I
I
do
believe
think
so.
so.
And Micah himself kind of closed the doors for all other teams, right? So that's a situation where the Bills can they can rest and relax. They aren't pressed like, oh, we're gonna miss him, right? He's gonna sign with another team. He's
He'll
on
be there.
record like it's Bills or retirement. So
And
it's
think
good
what
for the
that
team.
does for like the young guys too. To have a guy who's like, if I can go, I'll go, but I'm only coming back to the Bills. It's not going to be anyone like for the young guys on the team, that has to say a lot and,
Mm.
give them some kind of, camaraderie and whatever. But I think that's huge. Just, he's my guy. Micah Hyde is my guy. I love him.
Awesome. Okay. So my next prediction, I have some here. I need to pick some of them for this show today. But my second prediction is one that I haven't seen anybody mention this. All right. I already mentioned it on a show of the possibility, but didn't talk much about it. But I see a lot of people worried about this guy, but I haven't seen anybody like what if this guy is for real there, you know? And this guy is Connor McGovern. And my bold prediction is Connor McGovern is going to be an upgrade over Mitch Morse at the center position, right? and I get it. I understand. I love Mitch Morse as well. I think he's still a solid player, right? But let's be honest. Remember, like a couple of seasons ago, 2 or 3 seasons ago, I think it was 2 seasons ago, when Morse got injured, and then it was a concussion. And when he got back, McDermott didn't start him. He kind of benched Morse for a game.
Right.
And then in the other game, he was back with the starters, but he kind of benched Morse for a game. And that kind of set for me like an alarm, like a red flag with Morse. And I love the guy. I think he's a great leader. I think he's pretty solid. You know what you get with Morse as your center.
Right.
And I understand the Bills Mafia being worried about not having him on the team anymore, because it's finally we had the offensive line playing well, right? And they were able to play well together. So it's natural to want to see this group continue together and build up on what they've done, the good things that they've done together. But since that day, I was thinking, and I don't know. I think just like we talked about Von Miller, Morse is aging as well. I don't think Morse is the most stout guy against the some bull rushes. He isn't the best guy, like anchoring and holding up and protecting that pocket from being pushed onto Josh Allen. I think he's a mobile guy that can be a puller. Even on some Josh runs, he was always used like this. But and obviously he makes the right reads, he makes the right calls as a center. He's a experienced guy, but I don't see him as a dominant center.
No, not
And
anymore.
yeah, and in Connor McGovern, he's been quite impressive, right? He was signed as a guy that didn't have an opportunity to start for the Cowboys. He was moved around, played some fullback, played some extra tight end, played all around the line, and he got an opportunity to start at left guard, and he played extremely well for the Bills last season. I think even being kind of underrated. And now we hear about McGovern himself, about Cromer, about everybody's how confident they are in McGovern transitioning to center, how it's being a plan since last year. He's getting some snaps there, and now full time. He's extremely excited for this opportunity. And normally, when a player feels like, okay, I prefer to play this position, it's normally the best position for the guy.
Right.
There are exceptions, but normally when you feel better at some spot, that spot is the place where you play the best, right? And I'm curious to watch McGovern as the center. It feels like his relationship with Josh this entire offseason has been awesome.
Really good.
They are
Yeah.
building some chemistry. I feel like physically McGovern has more to offer than Morse has. He has the mobility, but he's stronger. He's anchoring. He's stronger than Mitch Morse. So I'm thinking like, yeah, we might miss Morse because all the experience. But what if his physical attributes are really a positive comparing to Morse, and what if he become an upgrade, right? So obviously we need Edwards to play well at left guard as well. It's not just McGovern moving to center and opening a hole at the left guard spot, but I believe McGovern can be an upgrade to Morse, and it's going to be an interesting thing to follow this next season.
I agree with that. And for me, the Morse thing, I have so much experience with head injuries with my family. My dad was in an accident and years ago, and he suffered like brain damage from it. My mom had a ton of concussions. My brother has a brain tumor, so I know what it's like. And it's just all those head injuries with Morse. After so many, I mean, it really does begin to affect you in a lot of ways. And for me, I always felt like I really don't want to see the play that basically takes away his career. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
in a way, it's kind of like a relief that he's not with the Bills anymore, because I love Morse, and I just didn't want to have that happened with the Bills. But also, I think I agree. I think that, you know, he's older, he a lot of injuries, and I think McGovern has a really good chance to step in and be an upgrade. I think you're
Mhm.
absolutely right with that. And then his relationship with Josh Allen is really good, and that's a big deal. When you're a
Mhm.
center, you have to have that kind of relationship with your quarterback.
Yeah, and that's a great point because even if you had with Morse that floor set where we were like, okay, we don't have any problems, we don't need to be worried about the center position because Morse is very reliable and he really was.
Mm-hmm.
But on this head injury situation, he wasn't really reliable in this situation, right? With
Mm-hmm.
all the concussions he's had in his career, it can happen at any time to have a conclusion that he would be out for a long time, wouldn't play an entire season, and then you have all that cap invested in him, and he's not playing anymore. So he is a play away of not being available. And now
Yeah.
with McGovern, obviously might be some growing pains, but I think the potential and I think what he's already shown as a left guard, uh, it's a valid experiment in my opinion.
It's worth it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I almost wish that Morse would have retired after the Bills,
Yeah,
just because I get so nervous and
kind of Micah Hyde situation, right? Like
it
Bills,
is.
because when you talk about Morse like this, I think exactly the same thing about Micah Hyde. Like with
It
neck
is.
injuries, you are always scared every
It's so
tackle.
scary.
Like is the guy okay? And
Yep.
right, so it's so difficult. Yeah,
I
great,
definitely
great.
agree.
So we have one more prediction each, and I will have a bonus prediction to close the show. So Daniel, what's your third prediction? Your third bold prediction? Bills Mafia, feel free if you have a bold prediction to share in the chat. Feel free, like,
Hmm.
subscribe. We count on you. So let's go, Daniel.
All right. Now this one isn't so much football related, but it's kind of
Okay.
big for me. I mean, I'm a girl.
Okay.
So I think that Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld will be engaged by the end of the season.
Okay.
That is my
Okay.
big prediction, my boldest prediction.
All right.
Um,
Let me understand it because I always get a little bit confused with that, right? Because like engaged is not married, right? Engaged is like that
right.
last step before getting married, right?
Yep.
Here in
Engaged
Brazil,
is,
here, here in
go ahead.
Brazil we call it noivado. They are
No,
noivos, all right? They
oh,
are set to get engaged. Sorry,
okay.
set to get married, right? You get engaged and then you find a date for your
Hmm.
wedding, right?
Yep.
So that's engaged, right?
Same thing. Yeah. And it's
Okay.
the man usually buys, a nice ring and
Yeah.
asks, the woman, or if they're two men, two women, whoever, but it's usually one gets a ring
Hmm.
and they say, "Will you marry me?" And the other one says yes. And then they plan it and
Got it.
figure it all out.
Yeah, I need to point out one thing so Americans can be, I don't know if the right word is envy of us, like, but Brazilian, because we don't need to buy a ring for
Oh,
or future wives. We don't need to do it. All we need is to buy it's the ring that we wear during the marriage, like we call
okay.
it.
Your wedding ring.
Yeah, it's called here aliança, like an alliance, right?
Oh, okay. I
And
like
yeah,
that.
we buy those, and then we propose with this one. We don't need to buy like a beautiful ring with
Oh.
diamonds and stuff. No, it's cheaper for us here in Brazil, right?
You'll be having
But
all the American men move to Brazil now. Like,
yeah, probably, yeah.
so I have a question though. So with the wedding ring for the female, is it just like a plain band too?
Yeah, it's like my wife's
Hmm.
wedding ring is similar to mine,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Same ring. Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely more elaborate in the United States.
yeah.
Um, but that's like the whole big business. I mean, you know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. Please,
Um,
please don't give ideas here to Brazilian people because we don't have much money, right? So
right.
so it would be crazy expensive. A lot of people get engaged and don't marry, like they don't have money to get married, or
No,
they get engaged and live together like forever engaged. I feel like it's crazy, right?
but
I
it's
got
that here
engaged and with a
too.
date set,
Mm-hmm.
right? But some people just gets engaged and never marry. It's crazy.
Nope. I've known people that were engaged 20, 30 years and still not, I mean, some of them still aren't even married and they have kids and they have a house and they have
Yeah.
the engagement ring, but they're just not married. So it's kind of funny. I mean, I think it's like that here, especially now with everything around the world being so expensive. Yeah,
Yeah.
weddings.
Yeah, they are
No,
crazy expensive, right?
I would never have. Would you guys do you have like big weddings then?
Yeah, we have big parties
I would
and
imagine.
then you need to decorate the church and you need to decorate the other
Hmm.
saloon for so you can have the party there, and the flowers are crazy expensive. I remember my wife wanting a specific flower and I was like, "Okay, you want those flowers, or you want to live in a good apartment, because we can have the flowers, but I
Right.
don't know where we're going to live." So she actually picked the apartment and we bought cheaper flowers, and it was
Mm.
all fun and all cool.
So it worked out in the end, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah. So that's my bold prediction. I think that by the way, too, I'm a huge Haley Steinfeld fan. So when they said he was dating her, like I watched her in the Pitch Perfects. Um, I watched her when she was in The Edge of 17, and then she was in the Marvel movies. But she also sings, and I love a lot of her music. So
uh-huh.
she has this like she's very feminine, but she's also very strong at the same time, like personality wise. And I think it's so good for him. And the reason why I think they're going to be engaged, besides the fact that we've heard really good things, I think Dion Dawkins talked about how much Josh Allen was, in love with her and whatnot. Oh, there we go. I love that picture.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
something I've tweeted recently, right?
I
And
love
that's
that.
where I kind of met her in the show with
Yeah,
the
she
Hawkeye
has
show, right?
kind of that like she's strong, but she's feminine, and I think she's perfect for him. And I saw recently that Haley and Josh had gone to a wedding in Cabo for one of his friends. I don't remember who it was actually. I was just looking at the pictures, but
Yeah, I think it was Kyle Allen's
oh,
wedding.
I think you're
I
right.
think
It
it was.
was.
Yeah,
Yes, you're right.
a lot of
Um,
Bills getting married, right? Kyle Allen, and he's
Dawson
not a Bill
Knox.
anymore, but
You're
Dawson
right.
Knox now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And but at that wedding, first of all, Haley just looked absolutely stunning. Like she had this beautiful blue dress on, and her hair was very like just classic. She reminded me of Jackie O, John F. Kennedy's wife, Jackie.
yeah.
So she's just very beautiful. But the interesting thing is the picture was taken from behind, and they were holding hands behind each other's backs, and like she was just staring up at him and like just like in complete awe. So I was like that right there, that picture told me, yep, they're going to be engaged. I think that's just my opinion.
Here it is, Bills Mafia. Special analysis that I would never be able to bring to you, but Daniel can do it. So really appreciate it, Daniel. And yeah, I can see that happening because Josh he has seen see the other relationship. Actually, he also looked like he was really invested on that, and now again, he seems he's invested into this relationship, and yeah, it seems they are getting. Oh, sorry,
That's
it
okay.
seems that they are getting closer and closer to that point, and I feel like it's uh, totally it's totally possible to happen, right? With
And she can understand his star status because she's been there.
I know her from Bumblebee. She was in the Transformers, one of the Transformers. Bumblebee movie. I didn't know her. I knew her in the Hawkeye, and she looked funny there. And yeah, just like you said, Daniel.
Yeah, she knows, like I said, and she's worked with artists. She's worked with like the Jonas Brothers when singing. She's worked with MGK, so she knows what she's doing. She can navigate,
Mhm.
and I think he's not as comfortable with that star status. I think she can help him with that. So I think
Mhm.
it's a good pairing.
True, true. Yeah. Okay, nice one. So let me bring my last prediction, last before the bonus one to close the show. So uh, let me bring it on because I opened the image and lost my predictions here. Let me find it. So, oh, my latest prediction is Josh Allen will be crowned the NFL MVP and Sean McDermott will be Coach of the Year. 2-1. All
Hmm.
right. And I feel like it's been long overdue for both of the guys, all right? And people who's followed me know that I'm not a big time Sean McDermott fan, like, oh, he can do no wrong. No,
Hmm.
I appreciate all the good things that he's done, and it's a fact. He's done some crazy good things for the franchise, and he's a great leader, and the McDermott process, right? I'm a believer. I like how he had all the guys buying in and setting a nice culture with the team. We can see with all the regular season wins, especially how he was able to turn the franchise around into a winning franchise, right? One of the winningest in all American sports right now. So I can see that despite all my critics for his behavior, like in the playoffs or some of his bad challenges, bad calls, bad preparation sometimes in the playoffs, like in a sense of it's not an easy job. Let be honest. To be able to be better than Andy Reid, to be able
Hmm.
to be better than other great coaches, right? But when the guy is there, he gotta be. He's fighting against other top dogs, right? Josh needs to be better than Mahomes, and I'm always talking about this. If you isolate quarterback play from the team's play, in the last two Bills and Chiefs playoffs, Josh played up to Mahomes level or even better,
Hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
unfortunately, his kicker couldn't hit the field goal that Butker hit when Mahomes needed, or his star wide receivers couldn't catch the balls that Valdez Scantling caught for Mahomes, and the list goes on, right? His number one defense in regular season couldn't be a challenge for Mahomes, and then the Chiefs' number 10 and number 15 defense was prepared to offer Josh every drive different looks, different situations, and make things harder for him. We always needed to see Josh beating that defense every single drive. It wasn't like a walk on the park like it seems to be to Mahomes against the Bills defense, repeating always the same stuff. So I have my critics for McDermott, and I have my doubts, but I believe this team can be I had my prediction for a 12 wins this year, and I believe they can win 13, right?
Yeah.
If they win 13 and if they can be like fighting for the number one seed, that they've been there, they've been close, right, to fight for this number one seed in the AFC, and then we had the Hamlin situation that kind of messed up with this opportunity, and last season the bad start, but they've been close. If they can win 13 games, if they can fight for number one seed in the AFC in a season when not everybody, but most of people are questioning the Bills for letting some veterans walk away, and oh, they don't have people around. Oh, they will need Josh Allen to carry the team. I feel like if the Bills can be this team, and I believe they can, those two things will be together. Like Josh putting again an MVP level season, just like he's done recently. Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, had an even better or a similar good season when he won the MVP in 2020. And then last season, people attached more to the team success and the MVP to Lamar than individual success and Josh production. But if he continues to put up those numbers and the team wins the AFC in a year that nobody or few people are believing they can do that, I feel like they will have no excuses anymore to not give this award to Josh. And McDermott, after so many years being able to have the Bills winning so many games in the regular season, and he'll be able to fight for this award and maybe even win it, because I feel like he deserves it. Like the year that nobody believed the
Mm-hmm.
Bills would make the playoffs, they ended the drought, right? And with this group, I feel like if he can elevate this group like he elevated that group, he has now Josh as established starter. He has some leaders already on the team. He got rid of guys that didn't buy in anymore. Maybe I have no doubts that Diggs, for example, didn't buy in anymore on what McDermott was
Mm-hmm.
selling, right? So I feel like he has the right group to be able to elevate again. And I feel like those two walk together, and they will finally be rewarded.
Yeah, I like that prediction. And I think I kind of am with you with I think if Josh Allen wins MVP, that McDermott does win Coach of the Year. I think they go hand in hand with each other. Like I don't think one wins one without the other winning the other, if that makes sense. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be both. So I do agree there, and I think um, to your point too, there's been a lot of talk about, Josh Allen doesn't really need a number one wide receiver. And I'm with
Mm-hmm.
that. I agree with that 100% because, well, we saw with Diggs, he had a number one receiver, but I don't know about some of the stuff behind the scenes maybe
Not
there.
when we really needed it.
Right, exactly. So I think if he has a couple solid receivers that can actually catch the ball and hang on to it and not, fumble or not get it intercepted, and if they fight for that ball, if they're good at catching the ball, and we have a couple of Josh is going to make a number one wide receiver out of someone. That's how I feel. Good quarterbacks do, right? And that's what they do. They make their wide receivers better. And I think, yeah, exactly, Matt.
Yeah.
He needs guys to hang on to the football. And I think that's what is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I absolutely agree that they can both win those awards this year.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful. And for the bonus prediction, all right. And this one, I believe Bills Mafia isn't really believing a lot, but they would like that. If I'm right, they would love it, right? Is the Bills making it back to the Super Bowl this year? I know it's not the year that everybody's expecting that because of all the moves, and everybody's kind of worried a little bit, and we don't know what to expect from this team. And yes, we need a lot of pieces to a lot of things to go right. But I feel like the Bills bought in a lot of tickets, a lot of lottery tickets. It's not like, oh, Keon Coleman gotta be awesome or we won't have receivers. No, you have
Right.
Keon, but we have Shakir, and you have Samuel, and you have Claypool, and you have Valdez Scantling. You have a lot of options, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Kincaid is a receiver as well as a tight end. So, oh, we need Bishop to be awesome. Yeah, if he is, okay, but if he isn't, maybe it's Rep, maybe it's Edwards, maybe Hyde comes back. So we have a lot of tickets
I
in,
agree.
in all the areas, right? And just like I said, I feel like this team can be elevated. They can buy in on what McDermott says, buy in on the process. They have Josh Allen leading the way, right? And I really feel like this team is prepared to surprise a lot of people. Surprise a lot of people. And if things go right, if they get to the playoffs healthier than the last few seasons. I actually felt like McDermott last season, after that article criticizing him, he changed some of his approach. He started to
Mm-hmm.
be more aggressive defensively later in the games. So I felt like McDermott was more prepared to be better in the playoffs. Unfortunately, especially losing Terrell Bernard, was the
Oh
last
yeah.
shot to kill that defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is the year that maybe McDermott can finally be ready to take the next step during the playoffs. I think Josh Allen in the playoffs is second to none, all right? And he has shown it with his play on the field. And I really believe the Bills have invested a lot on guys that can catch the ball. It cost us big time last game against the Chiefs. So
Mm-hmm.
we have guys with great hands being joining the team. So I think this team can surprise. And Unfortunately, I don't know in the Super Bowl because we are the Bills, so I can tell you that we're gonna win it, right? But
But maybe make it.
yeah, but make the Super Bowl. I think we'll make the Super Bowl this season. That's my last bold prediction, the bonus one. What do you think? What do you think about it, Daniel?
Yeah, I think in a year that no one expects us to, that's when we will because we're the Bills. That's what we do. No one circles the wagons.
Yeah.
So I love that prediction. And like you said, I think we have a lot of good solid pieces now where maybe before we had some really good pieces with then the talent kind of dropped off a lot. I feel like we have, I don't know, call me crazy, but I think we have a better team than we did last season, even.
Mm.
So I think, like you said, some of the players that weren't bought into the process are not there any longer, and that's going to help the locker room. And Cam Coleman, just the way he is in general, he's like Josh Allen. Like they're very very similar in personality, which I think is going to be huge on the field. I think that they're going to connect a lot just because they're going to connect in person, you know?
Yeah.
So I really think that, yeah, in the year that we're not expected to do much because of all the players that we've and like you said, we've been there. So we've been winning the division, we've been, you know, winning games in the playoffs. The team kind of the ones that have been there for a little while, they know already now what to expect, what is expected of them. So it's not like their first time. Remember that first year they made the playoffs, it was almost like they just didn't know how to react
Hmm.
in the playoffs. Now
Yeah.
they know. And I think, listen, Super Bowl, I'm always going to say it's our year, but I do think it's our year this year.
Absolutely. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I miss your Mavens podcast
Oh,
with Robin. Shout out to Robin. She gotta be back here as well.
miss
And I
you,
really,
Robin. Yeah, maybe we can
yeah,
do a show with both of us one of these
yeah,
days.
it would be awesome for
I know
sure.
she would love that.
So really, really appreciate it. And the doors of the leading the charges always they are always wide open, so you can come back and participate again.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for having me. It's been nice, with our interactions over the years and watching your podcast and things. It's nice to finally face to face, first time face to
Yeah.
face with anybody. See, you're special.
Thank you so
So,
much. Thank you
and that,
so
you know
much.
what?
Save us,
That
Mafia.
definitely means that the Bills are going to the Super Bowl now.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the missing piece.
That was it.
Thank you, Bills Mafia. Again, subscribe to my own YouTube channel, rate this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcast. The Rumblings Network is back, and I'm glad the Leading the Charge is back with it. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll be back on Sunday with the Leading the Charge in Portuguese for Bills Mafia in Brazil and Latin America. So thank you so much, Bills Mafia. See you around. Go Bills.
Go Bills.